Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst, and today I am here with Wanda Herndon. Yay, I got her name right. She's an award winning communications trailblazer, author, speaker, entrepreneur, mentor, and president and CEO of W Communications. She was raised in a working class family in Flint, Michigan. Wanda refused to allow her circumstances or other people's expectations to determine how far she could go. She built an extraordinary career as a senior executive with three Fortune 500 companies, including serving as senior vice president of global communications for Starbucks. Whoa. Okay. Love Starbucks. Wanda believes that she is the CEO of her own life. Her story is one of courage, perseverance, leadership, and moving onward and upward, even when the road is difficult. Wanda, welcome and thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here today.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Wanda, what did growing up in Flint teach you about strength?
Well, it taught me that no means yes because you get a lot of no's when you're in what people believe. Well, they have the misperception that it's underclass instead of working class on
Oh,
the middle class, okay, with aspirations for middle class. So it taught me that you have to keep fighting and keep pushing forward to achieve your goals and always have a vision for your life. If I didn't have a vision, I would still be living on that same block in Flint, Michigan, which wasn't
mm,
horrible, but I knew I wanted a bigger life than a one block radius.
yeah, 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 for sure. A bigger life. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah. So, who first taught you to believe in yourself?
Well, it has to be my father, Nelson Herndon, because my dad was one of those courageous travelers in the Great Migration from
Mm,
blacks from the South to the North. My dad moved us to Flint in the 50s, early. I think I was 1 or 2 years old. I have to read my book about it. But I mean, he had an eighth grade education and he looked forward, not backwards, to how he could
mm,
improve the lives of his family. So that was true courage. You think in the 1950s, a black man on a bus, you know, 2-lane highway coming from Georgia to Flint, Michigan, that took some courage because
yes.
people still had to sit in the back of the bus during those Jim Crow times.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he is my role model for courage, and so is
Oh,
my mom in a different sort of way. She was the adventurer, the explorer, who instilled in me that women can do anything and be anything. And my dad kept pushing me forward. As I tell people all the time, my dad had the courage to raise me like a boy. Now that's not so much of a compliment because I like being a woman. I like being a
yes.
woman like us.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But those men do have some good traits,
Yeah,
good
yes.
business thoughts,
Oh
right?
yeah. He,
Yeah.
he wouldn't let me think that people could put me in a box.
Oh,
You know,
not,
he,
yeah.
he didn't want me to get boxed in. Matter of fact, he always wanted me to have an office job, okay, and not
Yeah.
work inside of a factory, automobile factory, like he did. But he
Uh-huh.
and my mom put food on the table and sacrificed so we could. Oh my God, they sacrificed so that we could have a better life and experience
Yeah.
things that they never had a chance to experience.
Oh, yeah. But they did that for you.
And my brother and my sister, yes,
Yes,
their
yes. Well,
children had a better life because of their courage.
oh. Well, what did you dream of becoming as a young girl?
Okay, this is going to date me, but
Okay.
but I still love TV, but I dreamed of being working in an office. My dad always wanted me to have the office job, but I
Yes.
would watch the Donna Reed show and the this
Oh,
show and that show, and I always saw the career person, was a man at the time, and I said, I think I can do that job that man is doing, and I wanted to have a corporate communication. Well, not at the time, it wasn't even communications, just a career. And I didn't even know what
Yes.
career meant when I was
Yeah.
a kid, but I knew that you didn't have to punch in and go work in a factory. I knew that
Yes.
you would be able to wear nice clothes and
Yeah.
have a desk and an office. And
Yes.
I wanted to have the skills that would put me in that position. That meant a good education.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Well, when did you realize that your life could be bigger than expected?
Oh, that's a good question, but I do know when. When I was 13 years old, I went to Whittier Junior High School, and I was taking Latin from an instructor, well, a teacher there, and her name was Mrs. Ennis. Mrs. Ennis, African American woman, she graduated from Michigan State University, and she took her Latin class, and I was in her Latin class on a field trip to Michigan State. I walked onto that campus. We met with professors, and I said, "This is where I want to be." And Mrs. Ennis was a role model. I mean, I learned Latin. My first foray into Latin was with Mrs. Ennis. And I
Oh,
looked at that beautiful campus, and I looked at the students on campus. I said, "This," even though they didn't look like me, most of them,
yeah.
I said, "This is where I want to be." But Mrs. Ennis did. And I said, if she could do it, I can do it. So I,
Yeah.
I knew my life could be, I knew I could have more. I knew I could be more. And Mrs. Ennis was one of the instructors in junior high school who told me that I should, explore my creative side and write poetry, which I did.
Wow. How wonderful to have a role model like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think kids are missing some of that these days, I think.
But we could talk all day about being in
Yes, we could.
front of on your iPad, on your iPhone, and got
Yes.
on your screens. And
Yes.
I'm guilty too. I'm,
Yes, of
I'm
course.
guilty too, so I can't badmouth anybody.
No, exactly. Exactly. But I think it's just wonderful that you had, because if she inspired you, she must have inspired many. So I think that's
Oh,
wonderful.
my mother and my father. My mother,
Oh,
I think 10th. She got to either the 10th or the 11th grade,
yeah.
and my dad to the 8th grade, and they saw the value of an education and how it could transform lives, and how their children could have bigger lives and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
world.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. Well, did you ever feel that you had to work harder to prove that you belonged?
All the time. That
Uh,
never, unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was raised in a house, so at the time, who it was instilled, you have to work twice as hard to be considered good, as good. Well, that changes in each environment, because you got some things, that perceptions that that people have of you when you walk through the door. Okay. So you have to fight through those. So you always had to prove yourself as a woman, as a person of color, or as a person who, and just simple as a person who hadn't had a lifelong career at a company. You weren't a veteran or, tenured or
Yes.
whatever it was.
Yes.
You
Yes.
still have to prove yourself.
Yeah.
And it's it's something I accepted. I I accepted the challenge, and I took great pride in exceeding people's expectations. Because
Yeah.
if I exceeded people's expectations, that meant that I could bring someone else along who looked like me. And that was important.
Yes. Yeah. Well, do you remember entering a room where you felt that you were underestimated?
Yes. You want a specific room?
Will you tell me whatever you
Okay.
want to tell me about
Okay.
that?
Well, if we can start with my first position at
Yeah.
Dow Chemical, which was, I was there for over 12 years, and it was
Oh.
great. But when I first got there, I felt so different. And
Mm,
I knew that it wasn't my environment. So, of course, you didn't feel you belong. So, during my first performance review, I was told, now this is, I'm new, a year after I got there, I
yeah.
was told that I had a chip on my shoulder because
Oh.
because I didn't really interact with my coworkers in a personal way. It was always about the work. Well, I thought that's what you did when you came to work. You worked.
Yes. That's what I would have thought.
Thought you worked. But there,
Yeah.
and you don't sit around chit chatting and stuff. But there's a part of building relationships that people need to know. You need to have, and I didn't. Nobody taught me anything about. I had the book learning, but I didn't have any business training. So I had to
Right.
learn on the job that these people you're with all day are the people you're with all day. So you need to know them and you need to let them in so they know you. You don't have to tell them everything, but you got to form relationships. And so until I was comfortable with myself and in this new environment, I always felt like I didn't belong
Yeah.
until I figured out I needed to find a way not to assimilate, but to be part of a team, to do what I needed to do to be part of a team. And if that meant whatever, going to lunch, dinner, I did it. And that became enjoyable.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. It's yeah, it's interesting. You're right. Relationships are important and with your coworkers as well.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So what does it mean to bring your authentic self to the table?
Well, I never, yeah, people always ask me that because I didn't really change. Okay.
Yeah.
I, you know, when I interviewed at Dow Chemical, when I worked at DuPont, when I worked at Starbucks, however I felt like dressing, as long as I had clothes on, that's what I did. I wore my hair in all kind of different styles, and but the key is that was part of my persona, but I did the work. You can't. So because I could do the work and delivered on results to support the business, I believe I was given leeway to be myself. Because if
Uh-huh.
somebody asked me, because I proved, you talking about belonging, proving, I
Yes.
did that constant, the proving part. I did that constantly. With some people, you'll never belong. But, you know, the way I showed up and did the work was accepted. It was accepted because I didn't try to be anybody other than myself. I have been described as straight talking, direct, wise. Thank you very much. A hard worker. These are all things I just refuse to change myself. Now, I didn't do stupid stuff like run through the hall screaming and hollering, but you have to. I was always told by my parents, if you try to be somebody else other than who you are, somebody will remind you who they think you are. They will define you. Do not let anybody define you. So yeah, I have a crazy laugh. I've gone from big afro to dreadlocks to braids to orange hair to blonde hair to black hair, whatever. But I showed up and I did the work. And while I was doing the work, I put people with me. I brought people along. And maybe that's why folks allowed me. Well, they didn't allow me, they accepted me for who,
Yes.
because I delivered.
Yeah.
And I can say that very proudly that I delivered.
Yes. Yeah. And what great advice from your parents.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
She said my mother used to say, somebody's gonna hurt your feelings one day if you don't be who you are. They'll tell you
Yes.
and you won't like it. I didn't
Yeah.
want that.
No, 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 for sure. Well, if so, most of my audience is women, I would say
Okay.
99%. So, if there's a woman, which I'm sure there's a woman that's going to be listening to us, how can she find her voice in a powerful room? How can she learn to speak up?
Well, she can look at the examples. And if they're all men, I have sat in some rooms where I wonder where these guys got these answers. They pull them out of their, what. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm up all night studying something, and then they're saying something nonsensical that everybody thinks is great. Okay, so you watch that behavior, okay? So you have to have confidence in your own knowledge. So you come into a
Ah,
room prepared and refuse to stay quiet. Because I tell people the only good thing about not speaking is that you can formulate your thoughts and speak louder.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's nothing, silence is not golden, I tell people. It's only golden when you're asleep. And unfortunately, when you're dead. So if when
Yes.
you when you when when you walk into these rooms with powerful people or people
Yeah.
jockeying for a position, wait for your opening. And don't talk to be just talking to hear yourself talk. And that when you start adding value, and you already come into the room value, but you wouldn't be invited there in the first place. We,
That's right.
we know we've earned it over and over again when we walk into that room and take our seats. But if
Yeah.
if you can't leave a meeting without contributing, and contributing means you speak up. Even early on, when you're finding your footing or finding your voice, just say something that's based in fact. It doesn't have to be a soliloquy. It just has
Yeah.
to be something. Have you thought? Pose a question. Have we thought about this? Maybe we should try this. Or in my experience, this. I can't tell you how many times I heard, or when I was with such and such a company, or my experience is, or I can't tell you how many times I've been interrupted and had to like shout, but not really shout, but claim my time, reclaim my
Yes.
time, they say in Congress. I had to
Yeah.
reclaim, or how many times that people will repeat what I said, and all of a sudden people hear it. Now that's the thing that you talk about. How do you claim your voice? It's when you claim your spot. Sometimes you have to take your spot, but with myself, I felt that I did it in such a way that didn't threaten people, men, women, whoever. You
Yes.
can say a lot of tough stuff and end it with a smile. Unfortunately, you know, some people think, well, why do we have to play that game? Well, you figure out the game you want to play. What's going to help? You don't have to bow down.
Yeah.
You need to speak up. Nobody's going to respect anybody who bowed down. And I have to say, I never bowed down. I did speak up. And I tried to speak up in a way that wasn't threatening, but logical.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. I love the way claim your spot.
Yes.
I wrote that down. I think that's powerful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So what should she do when others question whether she belongs?
Challenge them. Well, yeah, I used to do stuff like, do you belong?
Ah,
What makes you think, and kind of smile about it. What makes you think that you belong? And I don't. Explain it to me. Help me understand. I use that a lot. Help me understand. And that
yes.
really puts people on the spot when you force them to support whatever crazy thing they're thinking about.
Yes. Oh,
why
help me
shouldn't Why
understand.
shouldn't I be here? You just ask
Yes.
the question back. Why do you think that? I don't understand. Help me understand.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to write that one down too. So, okay. So, what did working for Fortune 500 companies teach you about leadership?
Well, well, I must try to stay as positive as possible. It taught me that leaders have to lead. Okay.
Yes.
Some
Yes.
people move into leadership roles who shouldn't be in leadership roles. And
No.
some people are passed over who shouldn't be passed over. So, but it taught me that once you are, because you will, if you keep doing the work and you do it well, I believe you will be anointed a leader. Okay. And once you receive that anointing, then you don't have to go back to school for 50 years and learn how to be a leader. You just got to do it. People
Yes.
are
Yes.
looking up to you. You've got to be strategic. That's what
Yeah.
it taught me, to be strategic and not be afraid to take risks. You have to take a
Yes.
risk. You think about
Yes.
all the great leaders in the world, they've all been risk takers.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can't,
And if you don't, then you're not going anywhere.
right. And about leaders, have no fear. I,
Yeah.
a friend of mine wrote a book called Fearless. I said, oh, that could have been my title. But you can be fearless and stupid, or fearless and smart. So I
Ah, yes.
be
Absolutely, you can.
yeah, be fearless and smart. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
and know who your friends are and who your mentors are, and how you can help others. That's a
yes,
running theme. As when I wrote my book, Working Class to Breaking Class, I thought about a consistent thing was helping somebody. You need to help somebody, and that's what real leaders help others.
yes, yes, yeah. Well, what was your greatest lesson from leading communications at Starbucks?
That create anything can happen. Be ready. That that leading communications at Starbucks, I had a wide berth to develop programs and strategies that would support the company's objectives and help the company grow globally. So, my lesson there was that communications is an extremely valuable part of the organization, part of the
Mm,
business team. I sat on the executive team for the entire time I was there, the
wow.
senior, the executive senior leadership team, because I learned that communications can be many things. It could be the marketing arm of the company, which we were for several years. It took me a while to realize that with no advertising for Starbucks, communication was out there building the brand. So I learned even though I was fully formed when I came to Starbucks, with my career in communications, I learned the power of communications externally and internally, because you have to have your people on board to support the company if it's going to advance its objectives and truly be admired around the globe like Starbucks is.
Yes, yes. Wow. So, strong leaders, how do they communicate during difficult moments?
Face to face, you can
Yep.
write, you got to talk to people.
Yes.
you know that's for sure. I'm such an advocate for face-to-face communications, whether it be with a team or with someone you feel has wronged you in in the
Yeah.
workplace, or with your leader. Well, my leader was, I reported to the CEO most of my career at Starbucks, and when something wasn't working or I thought something was amiss, I would talk to him directly. No memo, no, can I call you on the phone? I
Yes.
walked across the hall. I said, can we talk? There's some things we need to discuss so we can right the ship or steer this or whatever. Or you need to
Mm,
understand what is what, so we can us can make some good business decisions that will empower people.
yes. Yeah. So, no texting from across the hall.
No, no, no. And next door and all that stuff. None of that. I believe in looking people in the eye. You
Yes.
And also, I believe in telling people when the good, bad, and the ugly. I've always been told I'm so direct. I'm so direct. Well, I try to be direct with love if I can. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
If I
Yes.
can be
Yeah.
that way, I try to be as kind as I can be. Not always achieve that.
You're right.
I'm not an angel. You know,
No.
I some people have run into a buzzsaw when things just was going crazy, and I didn't
Yeah.
understand, like, why did you make a decision like this without telling me or something like that.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
got to but open and honest communications, face to face, open and honest communications, I feel
Hmm.
it, and professional communication is the best way to
Yes.
to communicate with folks and inspire them, to motivate them,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
role model the behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you think that's what makes people trust a leader is more of that face to face, or what do you think causes people to trust their leader?
That I believe strongly. You you do what you say you're going to do
Mm,
when you say you're going to do it. And if something changes, you let your you let whomever know that it's changed and why, and what action we're going to take to course correct, or hold hold until the timing is right. But you
yeah,
just don't let people don't sit on it and let people go off on wild goose chases when something's changed. But
right. Yeah. Well, what about being fearless and vulnerable? Can you be both of those at the same time?
I'm rolling my eyes a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Well, well, that's a good question, Julie. I'm trying to think when I felt vulnerable at times, and my fearlessness has been kind of put aside for a minute until I got myself back together.
Yeah,
I didn't achieve that. I didn't achieve that. I let
yeah,
my vulnerability not hurt me, but
yeah.
teach me. And once I learned the lesson, then my fearless nature resurfaced.
Ah, yes, yes. I guess we're human, so we're going to
Yes.
have those moments,
Oh,
right?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what does being the CEO of your life mean to you?
It means everything. That means no matter what other people think, I am in control. I make
Yes.
the decisions that I think are best for me. Not, and I'm not saying that I don't take advice. I want a lot of input poured into me,
Yeah.
and then I ask for help. I ask, tell me, please tell me what I could do better, and then I make the decisions. I will never lean on other people to make the decision for me. So that's
Yes.
how I'm the CEO of me. For
Yes.
my career, I charted out my own career path, and when I couldn't achieve my goals, I moved on to the next company. Okay, when I couldn't achieve my goals there, didn't make anybody mad. I wasn't angry. I just said I can't achieve what I want to achieve. I'm the in my head. I'm the CEO of me,
Yeah.
so I'm going to make these decisions. And if I make the wrong decision, if I lose my job, there's another job out there somewhere I can do. I have skills. I can do something.
Yes.
That's
No, absolutely.
so
Yeah.
I always felt that way. I mean, my first job, I bought a sports car 6 weeks after I started working, and my dad said, "How are you going to pay for that? What if you don't have any seniority?" Because he was from General
Yeah.
Motors. And I said, "Dad, if I lose my job, I'll flip burgers somewhere. I can do something. I can get a job doing something to pay this car note. But I want this sports car, and it's mine." And I
Well, good
kept it,
for you.
and I kept it, I think, for 10 years.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
Datsun 260Z.
Ooh, yes. So when did you fully take ownership of your direction?
I really think I did at when I went from Dow Chemical after 12 years to DuPont. I
Mm,
had really I Dow Chemical was a very good place for me to have a 12-year career because I did almost every job possible or had almost every position possible in the corporate communications function. So when someone, DuPont, came looking for someone, professional who had the exact same experience I had, it was just really weird that they were looking for somebody who had my experience. When the headhunter called me and the executive recruiter called me and told me what he was looking for, I said, "Well, you really need to be talking to me." That's when I took control.
yeah.
I feel because
Yeah.
I had labored and thought I was going to end up with an international assignment for Dow Chemical. Did not happen. So I said, "How do I get this?" So I moved on to DuPont. Is this all right if I tell you that little story?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
I moved on to DuPont because I was hired to be, I think it was a public affairs consultant and for global agricultural products. Well, when I got there, I thought I was going to be like overseas someplace. I was actually in my office, and I tell people I was global by phone.
Ah.
I could pick up the phone and call anybody in the world. Well, that wasn't what I had hoped for. So
Right.
after 5.5 years, I was recruited to Starbucks, who said, "You will help us open up international markets. You will travel the world as we expand Starbucks around the globe. Not sit and wait another few years. I can't, or 5 years, or never. I came
Yes.
in. I came in
Yes.
with that expectation. This is what
Yes.
you will be doing." A year later, I was in Tokyo helping to open up the Tokyo market.
Wow. Wow. That's exciting.
It was, and based on what I had learned at Dow and
Yeah.
what I learned in DuPont, they
Yes.
laid the groundwork for me
Yes.
to end up at Starbucks, head of global communications.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
very thankful. I'm very thankful.
Yes. Yeah. Well, tell us about your book, Wanda.
Okay.
I can see it behind you.
Yes, there it
Yeah.
is. Working class, breaking glass. One woman's fight to belong and to lead. Yay!
Yeah. Yeah. So why did you write it?
I wrote it because I wanted to inspire people because I had been told for years that I had a story to tell. I mean, I started working on this after I retired the first time in 2006. And I can't tell you the number of times people, they say this about, oh, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You know, it could really inspire it and encourage. I'm like, well, are you going to write it for me? This is a job.
Yeah.
And then the more I thought about it, then I thought about my nephews and my niece needing, I said, they need role models. They need to know, and
Mm.
others need to know that you can do this when other people think you can't. You got to let no become a yes. And I'm living proof. So I thought
Yeah.
that my background coming from a segregated neighborhood in Flint, Michigan, to
Yes.
the head of a multinational, multi-diverse company would be a good story to share with individuals so they too would know they could do it. And also, as I'm lifting them, that means they're lifting others behind them.
Yeah.
And that was important to me. I grew up in a household who believed we should give back. And this book is my way of sharing my experience, not telling anybody what to do. I say that
Yeah.
I'm just sharing my experiences and my
Yes.
life lessons. And if you would like to use them, go at it.
Yeah.
They're here for you. I'm giving this to you. I'm giving
Yes.
this to you, and I want you to be successful. I am mightily blessed because
Yeah.
nobody thought that I would succeed coming out of Flint, Michigan.
Wow. You really you're very inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
No, you are for sure. And I think that successful people like you should be writing books and coming on podcasts and talking to people so that they can see that there is a path if they want to follow one.
Well, and I'm not gonna. Well, what I'm gonna say, I wanted to counterbalance the negativity that comes at people so often, and
Yes.
give them some
Yeah.
hope. I am. That happened for me. I mean, I grew up during the Vietnam War. A whole bunch of things were happening, and
Yes.
I was given hope. Somebody showed me the way that what
Yeah.
was possible, and that's what I wanted to do was share the possibilities.
Yeah.
I am an embodiment of what is possible.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Well, have you opened doors for other women? How have you opened doors for other women?
Well, uh, I have recommended women for various positions. One of my mentees was a baby lawyer when I supported her hiring at Starbucks, and she retired as the general counsel for Starbucks.
Wow.
So, I have invited folks to attend conferences with me. I have worked, not worked, but associated with joint associations and women's organizations where we network and we share our experiences. I've taken phone calls from many folks' children
Oh.
to share my experiences.
Yeah.
I've gone out and spoken at colleges and universities. You know, I rarely say no to help to that,
Yeah.
unless my
Yeah.
calendar is so crazy I can't fit anything else in. But
Yes.
when you're in a corporate environment, you're always looking around for someone who looks like
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
or is of the same gender, etc. I was recruited to Starbucks by an African American woman. Her name is Sharon Elliott, and she pulled me along. And so I reached back and I pulled other women. You doesn't have to be of one race.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you know, it's very important the value that women and the bring to a corporation and the contributions. One of our former presidents at Starbucks we were at a memorial service for one of our leaders, and there was a bunch of women there. We're all former execs. He says, women built Starbucks. You guys should get together and write a book. Now, this was coming from one of the top 3 in the company. And we said, we did. We did. We did. We were instrumental. We didn't just build. I mean, we helped. We helped.
Yes.
And that was nice for him to recognize us. So it's very important for me to help other women because other women helped me. When I was at DuPont, I was part of a group called the Black Women's Network. They helped me acclimate to DuPont in a short period of time. And when I had to make the huge decision whether I was going to stay at DuPont or take a chance on Starbucks, who was an upstart, and DuPont was a 100-year-old company, I went to a woman who said, you need to go. You need to go. You need to take a chance. Don't be afraid. And so that she helped me. And I remember that to this day. And her name is Claudette Whiting. And I said, I am going to take that lesson forward and help other women. And I have tried. So I've opened doors. I've role modeled, I've been a role model, I'm told. And it's really nice when someone comes up to me and says, I remember when you were standing up beside Howard Schultz at a meeting and doing it, blah, blah, blah. That showed me that I could do that. That showed me I could do that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we can be ambitious and still take people with us.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
I had a book talk the other day and a little 10-year-old girl stood up and said, have you stepped on people to get ahead? And I'm like, 10 years old. I looked at her and she was the daughter of one of the attendees, a friend. And I said, that's the last thing you want to do. Because if you step on somebody else, for sure, they're going to step on you. You don't want that. Be kind. Be as kind as you can be.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, what responsibilities comes with having influence?
Well, you got to make sure you make wise decisions.
Yes.
That you're speaking into, make sure you're giving that person good advice. You can negatively influence every situation. I say the responsibility is to be a positive vehicle for change. Change is important. Be a positive vision for helping people. You see, there's a constant theme here. Positivity, hope, that's all important. And if you're influential, it's amazing how you can, change things, how you can move mountains that you thought you couldn't move. If you have influence and you pull the right levers.
Yes. Yeah.
Nobody wants to be around somebody who's awful to be around.
No, of course not. Absolutely not. No. Well, I want everyone to know that we're going to have information on how you can reach Wanda, maybe purchase her book. So in the show notes, you'll find some information there. So don't hesitate to reach out. And it sounds like a great book. So I think I think all women should read it. So tell me about W Communications. What inspired you to create it?
Well, in 2006, I retired from Starbucks, and I decided that I just kind of wanted to take some time off, which I did about 6 months and traveled and all the rest of that. I traveled back to places I had gone to as a business, for business. Now I was as a tourist, and that was fun. Yeah. So after I got that out of my system, I said, how do I keep my brain active? How do I continue to stay connected to my craft? And what do I know how to do?
Yes. Yes.
So I decided I would found a company, and I decided that I would finally become really the CEO of a company, not just the CEO of me.
Yes.
And I ended up, with several different clients, and I just wanted to know what it was like to be fully in control of a business entity. That's why I did it. And so, and I worked with, and it's amazing the people who reach out to you. Lululemon, Starbucks was one of my clients.
Wow.
Great. And it was just great. I spoke at various universities, Villanova, Michigan State, my alma mater, and all under my own business banner. And that felt good to know that there's such a thing as W Communications. And
Yeah.
I gave you my website.
Yes.
And if people actually go on my website, this is a shameless plug, uh, and go to the books tab, there's a link where they can buy my book.
Oh, perfect. No, that's
So
perfect.
I don't
Yeah.
have to give you an extra link. Just go
No,
to the
you
website,
don't. Yeah.
go to that tab.
Perfect. Perfect. So, what accomplishment makes you the most proud?
My family,
Mm,
that next generation of my family, they're not all Herndons. Everybody has different last names, but to watch them go to college, know and achieve and graduate, venture off into business and do their, and be successful. And
yeah.
I feel like that generation that I inspired the next generation of my family to make sure they're not a have not. That,
Yes.
you know, it's just pulling them along because remember my father came from LaGrange, Georgia on a bus,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and here he's got generations of college educated, family members who are authors other than me. I've got other, we're all doing something. We're
Yes.
all giving back to the world. So that is very, very important. That's an
Yeah.
accomplishment is that I can inspire my family members and along the
Oh,
way I'll inspire others.
yes. Yeah. Well, what do you hope your life teaches the women coming behind you?
That is an advantage being a woman because they don't, when they don't see you coming, you can do some great stuff.
Yeah.
They can't when they, because sometimes folks want to try to anticipate our next move if they see you. Sometimes we're not seen, so you have to
Right.
use that to your advantage to do whatever you aspire, to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always these little nuggets. We
Yes.
women are powerful. You say
Yes.
women like me, women like us. You think about the women who are leading. You think about a Nancy Pelosi. You think
Yes.
about a Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey. These
Yes.
people are leaders, and we look to them for strength. But we have
Yes.
strength within ourselves. So we have to harness it, capture it, and exercise it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Wanda, how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be, nobody's ever asked me that. I
Mm.
would like to be remembered as a woman who lived life to the fullest and gave back to others as she climbed.
Oh, that's a good one. That's so beautiful.
Oh,
Absolutely.
you.
Wow. Oh, well, I could just listen to you and and just converse with you all day. You're very inspirational
Thank you.
and I think it's so wonderful that you're concerned about women and the women coming up and
Yes,
wanting everyone to do their best.
yes,
And
definitely. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. We have something to give as women. We need
yes,
to give it and not be afraid to step out and do it.
yes, yes, absolutely. Well, that's a great spot to end. It is.
Julie, this has been wonderful. Thank you for having me on your show. Your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Oh, and thank you, Wanda, for doing it. And thank you for just your wisdom and just being so open and honest. And having just a lovely sense of humor. I appreciate that. I do. I
Thank you.
do. I love it. Well, everyone, that's the end. So, as you know, all of the of Wanda's information is in the show notes. You can go to her website. There'll be a link there to grab her book. You may want to do that. You just may want to continue the inspiration. It's important. So. And thank all of you for being here as well. And we will see you next time on Women Like Me Stories in Business. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.